We begin with a developing story in the Middle East that's already igniting anger across the region. The White House says U.S. President Donald Trump has decided to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital.
Trump had already told Arab leaders that he plans to move the American embassy in Israel to Jerusalem. He's expected to make a formal announcement about the decision on Wednesday, but is not expected to set a timetable for the move. Middle Eastern leaders are warning Trump about the potential consequences of the decision. According to a statement, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas warned Trump of the dangerous consequences the decision would have for the stability of the region and world. The decision also drew criticism from Iraq's prime minister.
The Iraqi government is deeply concerned that the U.S. president's decision could unleash turmoil in both the region and the world.
A statement from the Jordanian palace said the country's king told Trump that moving the embassy would obstruct American efforts on Arab-Israeli peace talks. Jordan is the custodian of the Islamic holy sites of East Jerusalem. The status of Jerusalem is an extremely complicated and contentious issue. Previous American presidents have said it should be negotiated. The U.S. Congress passed a law in 1995 requiring the government to move the embassy, but each president has signed a waiver to postpone it. And Trump followed suit and renewed the waiver in June. An expert in Washington shares his views.
I think the impetus for the president in many different regards, including domestic ones, to say that he has fulfilled promises is a very big one. He ran, after all, partly on the idea of draining the swamp.
Japan's Chief Cabinet Secretary Yoshihide Suga says his country has no plans to move the Japanese embassy.
We believe that the issue should be resolved through negotiation by concerned parties, based on agreement. Japan will be watching the matter closely with interest.
NHK Jerusalem Bureau Chief Go Sawahata reports on reactions from both Israelis and Palestinians.
The Trump administration's recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital is shaking Jerusalem and beyond. On the side of Israel, people I've spoken with welcome the dramatic change of U.S. policy.
I agree with that. I'm very agree with that, because this is the capital of Israel. I think is the most powerful president what has been in last, I think, 25 years.
But on the Palestinian side, people expressed disappointment, some anger.
President Trump's decision is not fair. There will not be peace.
The Palestinians claim East Jerusalem will be the capital of their future state, and Jerusalem is one of the holiest sites for not only Muslims, but for Jews and Christians alike. Already, protests are expected in different cities here, and other parts of the Arab world as well. The fear is it could lead to violence. Go Sawahata, NHK World, Jerusalem.
The status of Jerusalem is at the very heart of the Middle Eastern conflict between the Israelis and the Palestinians, who are backed by the Arab and wider Islamic world.
Israel unilaterally occupied East Jerusalem in the 1967 Middle East War and later annexed it. The area is still home to many Palestinians. Israel claims East and West Jerusalem comprise its eternal and inseparable capital. The Palestinians also claim Jerusalem as the capital of their future independent state. According to the 1993 Oslo Accords that have long served as the basis for negotiations for a two-state solution, its final status is to be discussed in the latter stages of peace talks. The international community does not recognize the Israeli claim that Jerusalem is its capital. All countries, including the U.S., have their embassies in the nearby commercial city of Tel Aviv.
We're now joined by Aiko Nishikira, an associate professor from Tokyo University of Foreign Studies. She's an expert on Middle Eastern affairs.
So, what is the significance of Trump's decision?
Okay, yeah, I think it is basically a renewed provocation by Trump against Arab and Islamic countries, but it is a bit more like a more performative and less substantial move. Palestinians are of course furious about it, but at the same time, Israel are not really happy about it. I think because it will. Of course, like encourage the surge of protests, and Israel should be controlling those protests. But political benefit of the statement is not really clear.
So what kind of changes will we be seeing in Israel?
Well, I mean, moving the consulate or moving the embassy to is not really a simple process. So it needs a long process. So maybe as a first step, maybe because there's already a consulate in Jerusalem, so maybe they can change the sign as an embassy. But if they want to choose another place for as a location to the embassy and make relocation, it will be a long process and it will not be an easy one.
And what about on the Palestinian side? Will this decision impact the Palestinians in what kind of way?
Yeah, Fatah and the Palestinian Authority has already declared 3 days of rage beginning from this Wednesday until Friday. So during these days, there will be a strong repercussion in the occupied territories, and Friday will be the last day. So we should judge how it will develop based on the development on the Friday. But I don't think it will be leading to like a kind of uprising, so a popular uprising called the Third Intifada, because Intifada needs leadership. But still, the Fatah and the Hamas is more focusing on the more political process of reunification of the governments. So they are not really intent on motivating the popular uprising.
So you're not really optimistic there, but so what are then the prospects? We have this peace process, right? So what is the prospects for peace in the Middle East now?
Yeah, basically the peace process talk has not been going on in the current situation. And after the Trump statement, because it shows more like a pro-Islamic, pro-Israeli side stance of the Israel. So United States is already seen to be more pro-Israeli stance, but it will be more difficult to work as a mediator in the process.
So it seems like U.S. They can't be a mediator anymore.
Well, it still needs. I mean, in the Middle East, it still needs United States role, but it'll be more difficult solution, more difficult process.
So the process cannot really.
Not really. We are not very optimistic.
About it.
We can't be.
Okay. Thank you for your analysis.
Thank you very much.